Welcome to Learn to Live Stress-Free. This is Christine Wright with Dr. Robert Wright Jr. of www.stressfreenow.info.
Hi, this is Dr. Bob, the stress and pain relief doctor from Stress Free Now podcast. And unfortunately today, I have been traveling extensively and I am in a place where unfortunately I had a very, very bad experience. And so it's not the first time I've had an experience like this, but it was very unexpected. So what's the experience? The experience is where people try to rob you without a gun because they think that you're a tourist and they're trying to make their Porsche payments. So I'm on a cruise and we stopped in Madeira, which is part of Spain. It's a very lovely island. My wife and I were here. We were on a world cruise on Canard, and now I'm on a Norwegian cruise, and this is 15 years later. But guess what? When I came into the port terminal, they have a sign that said €5. You could take the bus and you could tour the city. I'm like, well, Wilbur, that floats my boat because I didn't buy a shore excursion because there were so many people down at the shore excursion desk. So they made an announcement that there was going to be a hop-on, hop-off bus at around 9 o'clock, but I didn't feel like going down there at 9. So I came out at around 11 o'clock. And guess what I discovered? I discovered that if you want to get robbed without a gun, then come to Madeira. This is just like in Papeete, Tahiti. I tell people, don't go to Tahiti if you need to take a taxi. You better have your pickup at the airport prearranged. Why? Because when we came out, I was on my honeymoon, the second part of my honeymoon. We were going to Tahiti, Madeira, and Sydney, Australia. We came out of the airport at 1 o'clock in the morning, and the taxi drivers, there were about maybe 20 cabs lined up. And guess what? They said, oh, you have to take the first cab. You have to take the first cab. So the first cab is telling us over $100 US to go 2.5 miles, which is like 4 kilometers, plus $7 per bag. And we were on our honeymoon, so we had 8 bags. So imagine having to pay $160 to go 2.5 miles in a taxi. So I'm not a schmuck. So I got pissed off. And I said, I'm not paying. And then the worst part is that as I went from taxi to taxi, they all said the same thing, which is you got to take the first cab. And I said, what you guys don't realize is that people have a fantasy about Tahiti, French Polynesian, and you are ambassadors. So if the first thing they encounter is jerks like you guys trying to overcharge people. So how many times do you think that bad story is going to be repeated? I repeated this story maybe about 500 times, which is that don't go to Tahiti unless you have your pickup at the airport. Don't take the taxis. They are clowns. I'm saying again, if you want to get robbed without a gun in Tahiti, go to the airport and try to take a cab and try to get a reasonable price. It's not going to happen. And they won't let you. None of the other drivers will do that. So now, fast forward. This is let's see. This is 15 years later, and I am in. Let's see, where am I? I am in Madeira, which is Spain, which is what's interesting about this is that I was here last week on a different cruise and we could not dock because the pilot people were on strike. And so they had a 2-day strike. And wouldn't you know it, the day that the strike started was the day we were supposed to dock. So they sent us to Gibraltar and we had a sea day instead of coming to Madeira, which was fine by me. So it was a total of 3 ports that we couldn't go to. So it ended up being Madeira and 2 stops in Morocco, which made sense given that, what's going on right now between Israel and the Palestinians. So So the thing is, I was kind of excited about coming to Madeira because I hadn't been here since 2008. And my wife and I had a great time. We did not take a shore excursion, but we walked ashore. They had a shuttle, and we went ashore. And I remember we bought gifts for friends, and we had the Madeira wine. And I was like, oh, okay. So even though now my wife passed away, I'm saying, okay, I'm back in Madeira. Let me just chill. But they wouldn't let me chill. So that's why I'm laughing, because when I realized you're not taking me for a pony ride, you know what I'm saying? I am not riding a skinny horse when the sign says €5 and you're going to try to charge me 50. So this is Dr. Bob telling you, unless you want to get robbed without a gun, don't come to Madeira. It's very unfortunate. My heart is broken, but that's the reality. And when I spoke to some of the workers, they're saying, so you know how much money the people make here? They only make €760 a month. That's the average wage. And then they tell us, don't tip the people. And guess what? To rent a one-bedroom apartment, minimum is €800 a month. So all the kids coming out of graduate school and college, they got to go back and live with their parents. That's what the lady was telling us on the shore excursion last time I was in Portugal and in the Azores. Same thing, right? The wage. So that's what it is. So I don't have a dog in that fight, but what I can just tell you, I'm not going to allow banditos to take €50 out of my pocket when it should be $5. So this is Dr. Bob giving you advice. If you want to not get shaved and skinned alive, don't come to Madeira. Until next time, be safe and be well. And Madeira is part of Spain, not Portugal.